get this video out of the way. The Holocaust was not very good. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. Like I was saying, the um, the Holocaust was very bad. A lot of people died during that time. And with that being said, it was a very dark time in history. The Holocaust caused so much death, so much pain, and so much civil and unrest between the people and the government. The Holocaust happened in um in Europe during World War II. And what people had noticed is that there was like a lot of death during World War One and World War II in not also Russia, but also Germany, and also Paris, France, England, the UK. There was so much death, famine, and war during the Holocaust, which in turns the Holocaust happened to be so bad, and a lot of people died. It's not good. A lot of people did not want to go on being drafted in the wars. The wars, the governments forced people against their will to enlist in the army back in those times. And that wasn't good. Not at all. And even if you were forced against your will to get involved in government business, you were forced into training camps. You're forced to endure so much. You're forced onto the battlefield. You were enlisted. And if you avoided getting involved in government business, you were court-martialed for going AWOL. And what happened is that the Nazi Party was a part of the very likeliness of every single conflict all throughout World War One, fighting Nazis, fighting Nazis, fighting Nazis, fighting Nazis. And then during the first half of World War II, still fighting Nazis, still fighting Nazis. And then in the later half of World War II, fighting the Japanese because the Japanese started their own Holocaust. And then there was so much death. The American soldiers got murdered by the Japanese soldiers, and the Japanese soldiers got murdered by the American soldiers. Same with German soldiers. The German soldiers murdered us. We murdered the German soldiers in return. There is a very, very great big divide between regular war and a Holocaust war. And then the Cold War happens, well, between the later half of World War One, or not World War One, but between the later half of World War II and the Iraq War was like the Cold War, fighting Russians. But I do believe that the Cold War wound up going and including like fighting the Koreans, fighting the Russians. That was the Cold War era. And also adding in Desert Storm. Desert Storm was also part of that Cold War. And during that time is that if you had the Desert Storm Wars and the Cold War between Russia and America, if you add in the war between America and Russia, the war between Korea and Russia in America, and the Iraq War. Well, the Desert Storm War, the war between America and Russia, during the whole Cold War era, as they like to put it, the Desert Storm War, the Cold War, the Korean versus America War, and the Iraq War, that's technically World War III, if I might add, which already happened. And that's how everything goes to the shitter. But that's to say that the Holocaust happened during all three times. Three times global Holocaust crap happened. And there might be World War IV and then later on World War V that might happen in the future. Only time will tell, because a lot of people end up getting involved in wars and trying to destroy our world. Because the Holocaust ain't good at all, dude. It was full of tragedy. and travesty. That's all I got to say about this. Aqua Trends asked, how do you feel about the Nazis being big fans? The Nazis were not big fans of anything but war and the Holocaust.